Okay, Gen 3. Oh boy, we have so much more to get through, boys. Sceptile is pretty good. Definitely above average. I don't think it's better than Venusaur. It's just more aggressive. It doesn't get like Leech Seed or Sleep Powder or crazy shit like that. But it's still pretty good. It helps with a lot of gyms. It's better late game, I think, than most starters. It helps with Tate and Liza. It helps with the water gym. It can help with even Glacia. It can help with Steven. I think also because the first gym is a rock gym, I think it's above average, but not by a lot. Blaziken line is, honestly, having thought about it, the worst, I think, in Hoenn. It's okay. You get a lot of fire types in Hoenn anyway. It's better than Charizard. It's okay for the Elite Four. It deals with Steven and it deals with Sydney and Glacia, kinda. I don't know. It doesn't do that much in the region, though. There's not a lot of gyms. It's good for Norman, I guess. I think for the most part it's pretty average though. It's like around where like for Alligator sits, I think. Maybe a little bit lower actually. It's like here. I think it's better than Entei because it's way more available. Swampert is S tier. There's like 3 rival fights and like 1 forced trainer fight that has a Roselia that you have to fight in Gen 3 that actually have grass types. I think Swampert's really insane. Water Ground is an insane typing. You can always get this every single run. You get it really early. It shits on like every gym. Swampert is just crazy good. I think it's better than Crobat. Better than Magnezone, actually. I don't think it's better than Snorlax. It's like here. Mightyena gets Intimidate, and that's all it gets. I think it's better than Arbok in terms of Intimidate Pokemon. I think it's like here. Linoone is like okay. It evolves early and gets early Headbutt, so it's really good early game, and then it slowly falls off. You don't get like the crazy belly drum sets that you get in competitive. Pretty good early game, but that's pretty much it. So it probably ranks like low B. For the time that you get it, it's okay, but afterwards it just falls off so much. I guess it gets like some good shit later on too. Maybe it's like here. I don't know. It's not that great late game. Similarly, I think Beautifly is just a worse version of Butterfree. I think it's still average. For the time that you get it until like, I guess it's exactly good from like the time you get Wurmple, exactly not Roxanne's gym, and then you beat Brawly, beat a bunch of trains before Watson, and then afterwards it starts completely falling off. So I think it's a lot less useful than Butterfree, just in the context of the game that you get it to. I still think it's like Beedrill kind of, where it's like useful for a bunch of like small fights. It's basically Beedrill. Dustox is just worse in every single way. Dustox gets like nothing good. It does get Protect for Norman, so it has 1 niche use, I guess. And it can be okay for Brawly as well. I guess we'll put it like here. Ludicolo. Man, Lombre fucking sucks early. I'm not gonna lie. Lombre is actually so bad. Lombre's fucking stats are terrible. Ludicolo, once you get it, is okay. Its learn set is garbage in most games. If you can use this in Rain, it's pretty good, but outside of Rain, it's really bad. I think this is low average at best. Water Grass is an okay typing though. I think this sits somewhere like here. This is below average for sure. Its learn set in most games is trash. Once it gets like a decent learn set, it's okay. I think in later gens this can be decent, but I think for the most part this line is just really bad. Fucking Shiftry, man. It's fast, I guess, decently. I think it can get Sucker Punch later. I think in later gens it can be kind of useful. I'll put it like at the bottom of B tier, I think. In Gen 3 specifically, it's really bad. In Gen 3 it's like here, and then in other games it might be like here-ish. I think I'll put it here. Swellow is really good. Swellow gets Guts. It's a better Guts user than Raticate, which makes it above average in my opinion. You get it really early, you can abuse the fuck out of it. It slaps a bunch of gyms. You don't have to like box it after Watson. I think Swellow sits, just because it's so good early and it doesn't really fall off that hard, Swellow sits like somewhere in mid A tier. Reminder that the Pokemon Sapphire Taz speedrun actually uses Swellow, although that's a little different. It's really fast. Pelipper is weird. Pelipper is good for Norman. Actually has a decent typing too. It can be useful, especially in later gens, but man, you kind of have to work to make it. It gets Drizzle later, so it's probably around average. In later gens, it can be pretty good actually with Drizzle. Honestly, I think Pelipper is a little bit above average. It sits like somewhere around Blastoise. Pelipper is actually kind of useful, I think. You know what? I think Pelipper is at the very bottom of A tier. Gardevoir. Gardevoir's pretty okay. It's kind of slow, but it's also reasonably bulky. It's pretty similar to Hypno, I think. It evolves actually surprisingly early too. I think it's very similar to Hypno, but is it more available? It's pretty rare, right? Fairy typing later on makes it better. I think I'll put Gardevoir like here. Masquerain gets Intimidate, and that's about it. It can do some pretty cool stuff, but I think for the most part it's pretty bad. I think I'd rather have Mightyena on my team. Intimidate is good, but it's a decent pivot, I guess. I'll put it like here. Breloom can either be pretty good or completely insane, depending if you delay the evolution enough to get Spore. It's still pretty good if you don't get Spore, but if you do get Spore, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. Later gens, it just gets better and better and better, but even in Gen 3, it's really good. It's one of the only Pokemon that resists Rock plus Ground, which is pretty important, especially in like ROM hacks. I think Breloom is pretty damn good. You maybe need some investment to make it work, but when you do, it pops off super hard. I'll put it like here. Super high attack stat too, yeah. Slaking. Oh boy. I think it's good. You can even leave it as a Vigoroth and it'll be like B. I think Slaking's okay. Slackoth is obviously hard to make work, but you can get through the mid game with Vigoroth, and then late game Slaking can be good. And ability randomizers, it's obviously like bannable, but you need a lot of planning to make this work, but if you do, it's really strong. So I think it's similar to like Swellow in that case. It's just a little bit more niche, I think. I think it sits somewhere here. Okay, Ninjask is pretty good-ish. It's niche. Speed boost is like not useful if you're already like the fastest Pokemon in the game, essentially. Swords Dance sweeps can be good, but you need like a right moveset to make that work. I think the dream with Ninjask is actually using it for Baton Pass cheese, and for that it gets like a pretty big bump because you can do like really insane shit with it. But if you don't do that, it's like pretty below average. So I think just for the niche possibility of doing Baton Pass things, it could be insane, but I think for the most part it's just going to be like a very average like bug type like here. Shedinja, I personally think should be banned, not because it's too good, but because it leads to extremely boring and binary gameplay. You just plan around your opponents, and the ones that can't defeat Shedinja have no chance against you, and the ones that can defeat Shedinja is useless against. It leads to really boring gameplay. If you're doing like a randomizer and you're playing blind, then go ahead and use Shedinja, and then it's probably like so hard to rank. I think you should just ban it. Exploud, the line is so bad in Gen 3, and it gets a little bit better every gen afterwards. Like it gets physical special split, hyper voice, some other shit. Like it's in the end it's probably just average though, probably like around here. Its pre-evolved forms are both so garbage though that like if you get Whismur early game, just box it. Like honestly, Hariyama's okay. It's not great. Fake out with good attack is good, but I think it's decently bulky, but it's okay. It's like here, I think it's like mid B tier. It can do some damage, you know. It evolves decently early, which is nice. All the Gen 3 mons evolve so early. It's really nice. Nosepass is pretty bad. I don't see when you would use a Nosepass, really. Early rock types, especially without the ground typing, can be good sometimes. I think this might be a little bit better than like Onyx, but not by a lot. This sits like here. Delcatty's pretty trash. This doesn't get anything good. Its stats are okay, but it's like around where Furret sits, I think. Gets a little bit more utility than Furret, so I guess I'll put it like here. Sableye's below average. Its learn set is so trash. At later gens, it becomes a little bit better. I think for the most part, though, it's like a little bit better than Misdreavus. It can be okay in later gens, so I guess I'll put it like here. No, having no weakness is kind of nice. Mawile's trash. It's better later in like later gens, but for the most part, it's just trash. It doesn't have the stats to really back up anything. It doesn't have a good learn set. Later on, it becomes okay, but I think for the most part, like later on, in later gens, it's probably better than Sableye, and before then, it's probably worse. I think Mawile's like around here. Aggron line evolves really late, but it's still pretty damn good. Even Aron is like fine. I think this sits like somewhere. Definitely not as good as Fortress, I think. Not as good as Steelix. It's just, I think this whole line is pretty damn useful. I think it probably sits somewhere around here. Medicham's pretty useless. It evolves too late. I love Medicham. I love its design. It's like one of my top 3 favorites, but I think Gen 3 it's not good enough. Gen 4 it can be okay, but it takes so long to get rolling. I think it's very average. Once you have it, it's decent and it provides you with like pretty unique coverage, which is nice. I think it's probably like around here. Manectric is like just an average electric type. It gets better learn sets later on. It's probably about as good as Electivire, I think. Plusle and Minoon are both pretty garbage. They can be okay. Honestly, I think Plusle and Minoon are like okay. For specifically Winona and late game Gen 3, being electric types bumps them up by quite a lot, I think. I think they sit somewhere around here, actually. Also, Encores. Actually, these get Encore, right? Yeah, that's really broken. Plusle and Minoon are not bad. I think they're better than Raichu. Illumise and Volbeat are just bad. They get some, like in later gens, they have like a niche with like Prankster Encore shit. So I'm going to give them like a spot above like Sneasel here. Or above Flareon. They can do like some really crazy utility shit in later gens, but for the most part, they're just bad. Sword is pretty good. It's not fantastic, but it's bulky. It deals a lot of damage, and that's all you want from a water type. Bulky water types are good. This is about as good as Blastoise. It's just your average bulky water. I guess you get Water Spout later. That actually makes it pretty good, huh? I'll put it here. Oh, this is so much nicer now. All right. Camerupt is so weak to water type moves. It deals a lot of damage, but it's so slow. I actually think Camerupt might be worse than Magcargo, right? Stab ground moves are nice. You know what? Camerupt's not worse than Magcargo. Magcargo has more resistances, but I think Camerupt has just better stats. Still below average, though. I think Camerupt sits like here. A little bit better than Rapidash. Better learn set and shit. Torkoal is a pure fire type version of Magcargo. Not a lot of resistances, but makes up for it by having super massive defense as well. I think Torkoal is like very average, pretty slow, good with healing items, decent learn set. It's like somewhere like here, I don't know. Grumpig is so average. God damn. This is the gen where psychic types slowly start becoming so bad. I think Grumpig is probably below average. Its learn set is kind of shit, and like it can have thick fat, which is nice. I guess thick fat probably actually puts it in almost average. It's so slow. It's probably like here. Actually, it's 80 speed. Never mind. It's actually not slow. You know what? This thing isn't actually that bad. Never mind. I take it back. This thing's average. I think it's okay. It's a psychic type. Psychic types are really useful. I'll put it like here. I think it's actually better than Mr. Mime. Spinda is below average. Doesn't do anything really good. I think it's a little bit better than Delcatty, but that's about it. Flygon is pretty good. It's almost a little bit overrated. In most gens, it doesn't get a lot of good moves in its learn sets, but it's a good typing. It's above average for sure. Dragon types are pretty good. And the line itself is pretty useful. I think Trapinch is actually okay. Vibrava is okay. You get Flygon kind of late, but once you get it, the whole line is like decent, I think. Trapinch is like actually not super terrible. Deals like a good amount of damage. Flygon line probably sits around here, I think. Cacturne is pretty bad. It's better in later gens, but in Gen 3, it's so bad. I think it can be okay, but it's definitely below average. Altaria's a really interesting case. I think on average, Electrode line is going to get more use than Flygon for sure, yeah. Than Flygon line. It's bad. I think Altaria's below average. It has a good typing, and it can Dragon Dance sweep, but it's very conditional. Altaria is really hard to rank. It just doesn't really have the offense. It has good defense, though, but it doesn't really have the learn set to back up like a good Dragon Dance set in vanilla. I'll put it in average just for its typing and the potential of Dragon Dance, though. Somewhere around here, I think. Blossom is trash. Favorite Pokemon? Zangoose is pretty average. It's your average run-of-the-mill normal type fast attacker. It can have like a decent ability. It's just decent learn set. Swords Dance is an option, which is really nice, which bumps it up a little bit. I think I'd rather have Raticate on my team. We'll put Zangoose like, I think like here. It's better than Persian because of Swords Dance. I don't think it's better than Dodrio. Honestly, Dodrio is ranked too low. Dodrio is probably like here. Zangoose is like here, I think. Medicham 5 Raticate, Guts, and early Hyper Fang. Very, very strong early game. And it holds up late game. Seviper, on the other hand, is like Arbok without Intimidate. And with like an okay special move pool. So it's just bad. So it's like Seviper is probably like here. Seviper's stats are okay, actually. Oh man, no, Seviper sucks so much. I'm just giving Arbok too much credit for Intimidate. Seviper fucking sucks balls. Getting Flamethrower is not enough, dude. 65 base speed. Fuck Seviper. All my homies hate Seviper. Lunatone and Solrock are pretty similar in power. I'll probably rank them about like the same. I think they're actually a little underrated. They have like okay offense and the typing is not too terrible. I think they're not like above average, I think. I think they're like high B tier though. I think Lunatone and Solrock are like they're like Kingler tier, I think, kind of. Maybe a little bit below. Maybe like here. I think they're pretty okay. Solrock is probably better though, yeah. Just because of like move pool. I'd rather have Umbreon. Yeah, I guess they're like about like Ninetales Sharpedo-ish. Whiscash! Remember, it's not the simple Dragon Dance Whiscash that we got in our Blaze Black runs. Whiscash it's a water ground type, but it's probably the worst water ground type. But water ground type is still always going to be above average. I think Whiscash sits somewhere around Pelipper. Actually, you know what? Whiscash just doesn't get enough tools. Dragon Dance is egg move. I think Whiscash sits around like here. Water ground is just such a good typing. Crawdaunt is usually garbage, especially pre-Gen 4. After Gen 3, it gets a little better. After Gen 3, I think it's still not better than Kingler though, I think. Well, definitely not on average. Maybe it's better than Kingler afterwards though. But it's so bad in Gen 3. We'll put it like, it's worse than Sharpedo for sure. That's a good starting point. I think it's worse than Grumpig too. Probably sits around here. Worse than Hariyama? I think Hariyama is just better than Persian. I think this is like okay in Gen 4 and stuff. Dark types are pretty good. Claydol is surprised. Like, I think Scale, the first thought is like it's garbage, and then you think like, hey, this thing is actually pretty good. It gets like a lot of utility, stab ground type moves, decent special defense, and then you use it for a while, and then you realize no, it actually is kind of garbage. Usually available kind of late, evolves really late. By the time it's useful, it's probably outclassed. I think it's about like a Xatu. It can have some utility, but resisting Edgequake is really nice, yeah. Lileep! Man, I really wish Lileep was good, but it's just not. It's just not good. Fuck, man, it's just not good. The typing is like okay and can give you some unique resistances though. I think it's definitely below average. Is there anything I can get that I'm missing? The typing can be so useful in some situations, but also one of the big utilities of grass types, I feel like in Nuzlocke, is you face so many water types and like it's a good counter. Yeah, I think this is pretty below average. I think it's like here. It's worse than Mantine, I think. Armaldo is like really good with Swift Swim, and even without Swift Swim, its typing is actually kind of good and it deals a lot of damage. You just get it so late, but I don't think it's below average. I think Armaldo is like okay. It's like around where Kabutops is, maybe a little bit higher. Oh, Shell Armor is really nice. Not having to play around crits is actually huge for a lot of strats, especially if it involves like items. Makes it much more consistent. Milotic is an interesting case. It's a bulky water types. Bulky water types are usually going to be A tier. I think it's worse than Lapras. Its moveset, its learn set is really, really bad, I think. I think it's worse than Vaporeon too, because physical defense is just better. I think it sits around somewhere like with Gardevoir and Hypno. Pretty bulky, but that's around it. It's also just really hard to obtain. Getting Recover for non-healing item runs is nice. Cast Form is like actually kinda okay. I don't think it's trash. Just giving it like a normal type move makes it like okay. I think it's basically Spinda. Hypno is super broken in Gen 1. That bumps it up by quite a lot. Cast Form is a better niche than the others. Yeah, I guess. It's very, very small niche though, right? I think Kecleon's actually kind of pog. It takes some planning to use, but it actually has a pretty massive special defense stat, and later gens gets like an okay learn set. It's still below average, probably. You're not gonna get Protean on it, but 120 special defense is pretty nice. I think it's like high C tier, yeah. I don't think it's better than Mightyena though. Oh man, Banette is pretty bad, I think. Among, like, it's a ghost type, which bumps it up a little bit, but it just doesn't do anything really useful, man. I think I'd rather have Haunter just for speed and hypnosis. Does Banette get anything interesting? I don't think so, right? I guess with physical ghost type, yeah, in Gen 3 it's okay. I guess in Gen 3 it's okay, but by the time you get it, I guess you can have Banette for Tate and Liza, right? I guess that makes it okay. Yeah, it can be okay in Gen 3, and you can get Shadow Claw in later gens. It's probably like around like Kangaskhan tier or like Donphan tier. Maybe better actually. It's probably around here somewhere. Dusclops, it's okay. It's a tank. It's just really hard to recover HP with this guy if you're not using healing items. If you're using healing items, especially with Eviolite, this thing is pretty damn good though, I think. It's probably above average. Probably around like Weezing tier, I think. Maybe better. Tropius is really bad. Flying Grass is not a good typing, and its learn set is uber trash. I think it's a nice ground type counter, I guess, but it's also weak to rock. It's not a good typing. I think it's about as good as Tangela. Chimecho it's just bad, right? I've gotten it a couple times and just never used it because I always determined it to be just bad. At least it's a psychic type, I guess. It's like the lowest ranked psychic type I have. Actually, 95 special attack, psychic stab are not even terrible. Actually, 80 defense, 90 special defense. You know what? This thing is not super ultra garbage. Probably worse than Xatu and Claydol though. I think it's like here. Yeah. Absol, in Gen 3, it's really bad, I think. After Gen 3, it becomes okay. It's kind of like Zangoose, I think. It's somewhere around here. Does get Swords Dance, does get like a Mega. I think it's like somewhere around here. It's like here, I think. I guess you can get like Strength plus Shadow Ball for coverage with Swords Dance in Gen 3. It's pretty okay. Yeah, honestly, it might be better than Zangoose, actually. I think it's like here. Glalie is bad, dude. Ice types are terrible, and Glalie is no exception. Glalie gets nothing, dude. It's just bad. Even for like Drake, I wouldn't use this. Our plus Lamino above Raichu, Encore. Encore is broken as shit. Dude, Glalie is so bad. Glalie is F tier for sure. It's worse than Pillow-Swine. It's worse than Golbat, I think. Walrein is pretty good on the other hand. It's like a better version of Dewgong. It's so much bulkier. I think Walrein is pretty pog. You can even do like in later gens Stallrain strats with Hail and like Ice Body or whatever. It's still an ice type though, which bumps it down by quite a bit. Getting all the ice types type weaknesses fucking sucks. But then stab ice beams are kind of nice. I think it probably lands somewhere around here. It's available really late. Also, Dewgong needs to be ranked a little bit higher, I think. Honestly, I think Dewgong is actually kind of average.
Clamperl evolves via trade, right? Or is it just hold the item and level up?
Regardless, I think Clamperl needs to be ranked on its own because it's like a different, you could use it with the held item. It is trade. Okay, then we definitely have to rank it. It's kind of like Seadra, and with like the right items, it can deal a little bit more damage and tank a little bit more hits. But fuck, it's so slow. And you need like everything to go right to make it work. But I think it can have some very, very niche uses, I think. Gorbis and Huntail, the reason to use them is like Shell Smash, right? Or even Shell Smash Baton Pass. And that niche, I think, is like, makes them like better than Cloyster. And lands them somewhere around like Seeking, I think. I think Gorbis is a little bit better. Where's Golduck now? Golduck is so low now. Yeah, we need to readjust that too. Golduck probably goes here. And then Machoke and Sandslash also kind of got fucked here, I think. And probably need to go like here. Something like this. Relicanth is just bad. You can do like some head smash shit, but I think for the most part, Relicanth is just bad. It's slow, it's weak. At least it's a water type. Probably like Flareon, where it has like potential to sometimes be good. Actually, its base stats aren't like super terrible, huh? It's kind of pog. I'll put it like here. Love Disc is just trash. No good stat except for speed, and the only thing its ability does is improve that stat. It's just not good. It being super fast with Ice Beam though kind of gives it some niche uses, and I think that's important to note. And I think that makes it a little better than Illumise and Volbeat. Salamence is, I think it should be banned. So I'll put it there. Intimidate plus Dragon Dance plus Insane Typing. Because I think it should be banned though, I'll also be ranking Shelgon if I can find it. And I think Shelgon lands in like mid C tier. It can have some uses. Regirock. So I think the best is Registeel. Registeel is kind of like Skarmory, except I think it's worse than Skarmory and Fortress because I think it actually has a worse typing. And in no item Nuzlocke, it also has no way of recovering health, although neither does Fortress, obviously. Regice is unfortunately an ice type, and that makes it pretty bad. However, it has pretty good stats, good special defense. I think you could make this work. I just don't think I have enough experience using it. Wait, we used one in, oh yeah, we used one in Storm Silver. Right. I think it's average. Probably somewhere here, honestly. It's just not very available. And then Regirock is, I think okay. Stab rock moves are okay. I guess these guys get curse, huh? I'll put Regirock like here. Metagross is S tier. For sure. I think it's better than Swampert and Magnezone. I think it's probably not better than Snorlax. Just because of availability. Metagross is insane. Insane typing, really good attack stat, agility to set up. That's probably better than Snorlax. Yeah, somewhere around there.
I think you should ban Latias and Latios, specifically in Auras, but I think even
before then, they're way too good. They shit on the Elite Four. Yeah, ban that shit. Ban Kyogre, obviously. Ban Groudon, obviously. Ban Rayquaza, obviously. I think Jirachi, you should just ban it, probably. I don't know. Jirachi's really good with Serene Grace. Without, let's look at its Calm Mind. Sure. I think you should probably ban Suicune, though. I think if it's in Legendary and it goes in S tier, you can just ban it. You can probably ban Deoxys. All right.